Welcome to this week's Eternal Monday, where Turbo Miraidon takes on Gardevoir. Today's game comes from the March 2024 in real life Eternal format tournament that took place here in San Antonio, Texas at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch. If you're new here, you might be wondering what the heck even is the Eternal format. In short, it is the unlimited format with a ban list. So this means the format features cards from the original base set all the way through to the most recent tournament legal set. Although it's an unofficial format, it's an incredibly fun format with a lot of rich deck building and gameplay experience to be had. If you're interested in learning more about the Eternal format, you can do so at justinbasil.com/eternal. Up first, we have Turbo Miraidon with Iron Hands and Mantine. Iron Hands is very much a star of this show, with 2 copies of Iron Hands being in this particular deck. To get Iron Hands powered up, we have both Electric Generator and Max Elixir to attach lightning energy to a benched Pokemon. Mantine's power circulation ensures that we will always have a lightning energy on top of the deck when necessary, and our turn 1 with Squawkabilly EX ensures that we are drawing cards as fast as we possibly can. Trainer's Mail helps us to find our Electric Generators and our Max Elixirs, and Electropower helps us to boost our damage. Additionally, Thunder Mountain Prism Star reduces the attack cost of each of our Lightning type Pokemon by 1 energy, making it just a little bit easier to get a big attack off with Iron Hands EX and take an extra prize card. In short, this is Miraidon. It's very well known in Eternal, although this version of it has not seen as much success or as much play as the version with Pidgeot. All the same, the deck isn't that different. It is still Miraidon. Up next, we have Gardevoir EX, which is a bit reminiscent of the version of Gardevoir EX that is about to rotate from our current standard format. You do have the Shining Arcana Gardevoir from Chilling Reign. It looks at the top 2 cards of your deck, attaches any energy it finds, or puts the cards into your hand if they're not energy. That is, of course, going to be your main attacker, doing big damage with that Shining Arcana of a Gardevoir. But being a Gardevoir deck, we have some options for the cards that will be helping us out with that Shining Arcana, including the Gardevoir from Secret Wonders, which has the Telepath Pokepower. Telepath Pokepower, of course, allows you to look at your opponent's discard pile and use the effect of one of their supporter cards as the effect of Telepath, which is incredibly potent. Additionally, we have the Psychic Mirage Gardevoir from Next Destinies, which doubles the energy count for each psychic energy you have in play. So if your Shining Arcana Gardevoir has 3 psychic energy attached to it and Psychic Mirage comes into play, now you have effectively 6 psychic energy attached to that Gardevoir, making Shining Arcana Gardevoir quite a nuke for a lot less damage, making it easier to keep it in play for a little bit longer. And finally, there are 2 other cards of note in this deck, Espeon and Deoxys GX, which has Cross Division GX to help you finish off the game. Cross Division GX for Psychic and 2 colors allows you to put 10 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like, and if this Pokemon has at least 3 extra energy attached to it, in addition to the attack cost, you put 20 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon instead. This massive amount of spread can absolutely end games, especially against weaker opponents, so it's always good to have this as an option. Although, as I understand it, some more recent builds of Gardevoir have decided to forego the Espeon and Deoxys option entirely. The last card that's worth talking about in this deck is Surprise Time Machine. Surprise Time Machine is an incredible card that allows you to switch one evolved Pokemon into another evolved Pokemon. For example, if you have a Gardevoir from Secret Wonders in play and you have already used your Telepath for that turn, but you would like to get Psychic Mirage out into play instead, you can use Surprise Time Machine to swap the Gardevoir that has evolved from your Kirlia, and now instead of having Telepaths in play, you have Psychic Mirage. Surprise Time Machine again searches your deck for that Pokemon, so it is quite awesome in that it really helps you find the Pokemon you want when you want it. This can also be especially helpful if you have a 2-prize Gardevoir EX in play and want to get it out of play. If you already have enough energy on board, you may not want that 2-prize liability out and vulnerable, so you can swap it for something else like your Telepath Gardevoir. All in all, Gardevoir EX in the Eternal format is quite an impressive deck. It is also a rather difficult deck to pilot well. Do keep that in mind if you decide to pick it up, but the deck is fun and incredibly fun at that. So be sure to keep a close eye on this deck as it goes head to head in this game against Miraidon. Okay, we have an Espeon and Deoxys start for the Gardevoir player. That is rather unfortunate. Squawkabilly EX start for the Miraidon player. Not that bad. A little bit interesting that neither one of them has elected to start their cards face down. I'm not sure why they did that, but they are friends, so it is what it is. All right, the Miraidon player drawing for turn there, getting a lightning energy off, potentially attaching that to the Squawkabilly, choosing instead to attach the Float Stone. Does not look like they have very many options in their hand. Yeah, they're choosing to just use Squawk and Seize, discarding that hand and drawing 6 new cards, trying to get something else in play. Gonna play down at Iron Hands, I think. Let's see. Contemplating whether or not they want to. Oh, nope. Actually, I've missed that they've already switched turns. So the Gardevoir players played an Iono, and so they'd passed. That hand was apparently really abysmal. So we have a bit of a setup here on the Gardevoir side, 2 Ralts and an Azelf. Azelf letting them look through their prize cards for a Pokemon. Looks like they might be going for, oh geez, those prizes are terrible. See several Gardevoir and yeah, oh, they've landed that for us. How convenient. So that is a bit brutal for their prizing. Quite unfortunate, actually. It makes me wonder what exactly it is they're going to be going for off of these prize cards with Azelf. The good thing is they are running Azelf, so they're able to get something. So they're going to go for the Psychic Reach Out or Psychic Embrace. Oh, nope, they're contemplating still. Going to go for something. Not sure what, though. Okay, so they've elected to go for Mirage Step Curly, it looks like. That would be a fairly interesting choice considering they already have 2 Ralts in play, so they could get a couple of other Curlias out immediately, and then just rare candy one of the Ralts up into Telepass, most likely. Well, at least once their opponent has played a supporter card, that would be pretty useful. The decision here is apparently a difficult one. They're putting a card from their hand into their prize cards and putting them back down so that they have them for later. So that is Azelf's Time Walk Poké Power, if you're not familiar with it. That they're currently executing. They have found that Curlia off of the prize cards, and now they just need to find a way to do something with it. We see an attachment on that Ralts and a pass over to Miraidon. Miraidon once again going out. Miraidon getting a quick ball out, so discarding that lightning energy for a quick ball, or for the quick ball, looking probably for a Miraidon. Yep, grabbing a Miraidon, an Iron Hands, and something else perhaps off of that tandem unit. This deck doesn't have very many options in terms of what you might want to search for. So I think, yeah, Tapu Koko Prism Star is definitely a good choice there. You do already have 2 lightning energy in discard pile, so getting a couple energy into play early is fairly nice, although it would have been nicer to get it last turn. But Tapu Koko Prism Star, all the same, a good pick here. Gonna get some energy probably on that Miraidon and on that Iron Hands if I had to guess. I'd also kind of like to see if we can get another energy in this card pile, perhaps a Motivate off of that Squawk ability. Get a little bit of damage in play, and then also get another energy attached. The Gardevoir deck is a little slower, it looks like, at least this game, especially with its prize cards, which the opponent is aware of because they were showed off to everyone. Okay, Electric Generator, you're getting a double hit. That Miraidon already well on its way to being powered up there. And with that Tapu Koko Prism Star in play, it can absolutely be attacking this turn. Wouldn't quite take a knockout on the Espeon Deoxys GX, however, that has 260 HP. Miraidon going to be limited to 220. Okay, we see 220 damage, no knockout there. Looks like we're going to see a Battle Compressor here from the Gardevoir. Just going straight for 2 energy and another card. Perhaps a supporter card for later. Guzma going to the discard pile. Okay. So that is 2 second energy and a Guzma. Gonna Versus Seeker out that Guzma and go after the Iron Hands. Gardevoir player here really not wanting to let that Iron Hands do what it wants to do. Gonna try to stall out the Miraidon player here. Alright, we see a Trainer's Mail digging and finding Electric Power, Hisuian Heavy Ball, and Electric Generator. Electric Power, rather, I think. Going for that Electric Generator, gonna try to get a couple more energy into play. Gonna be an interesting choice here, though. They're gonna need to find some way to get Iron Hands on the bench. I don't really think you want to attach Tapu Koko Prism Star here, as you want to dance to the Ancients if possible. That Iron Hands does appear to be stuck in the active spot. That thick retreat cost is just too much. And we see, yeah, we've seen a pass back over to our Gardevoir player who is now using some of these refinements to draw cards. Looks like our Gardevoir player is contemplating the use of, is it Surprise Time Machine or POW? So we see a Surprise Time Machine here. That Curlia, the Mirage Steps Curlia, is going back into the deck and is being replaced by a Refinement Curlia, giving this Gardevoir player an extra draw out here. So they will now have another option for Refinement. They're going to choose to discard a Field Blower to draw 2 more cards. We see a Mallow. Mallow could be good, but unfortunately they don't have another way to draw cards. They would just be sitting up for next turn. Okay, so back to Miraidon here. I see a Max Elixir. Max Elixir again would basically only be useful for a Tapu Koko, although Squawkabilly could get an energy off of it, but I don't think you really want to waste the Max Elixir on that Squawkabilly. We have a deck search once again on the Gardevoir side, which means it's been a pass. This Iron Hands Gust Up has been extremely effective against the Miraidon, who appears not to be running quite enough retreating options. So one of those times where that Zeraora GX's Thunderclap Zone would be really helpful. All right, so we're seeing Mallow being played here. The Gardevoir player is currently stacking their deck with the effective Mallow. So they look through their deck, find 2 cards, shuffle the deck, and put the 2 cards they chose on top of the deck in any order. And we're going to see a refinement allowing them to get exactly the 2 cards they're after here. We're going to see a Battle Compressor discarding another Psychic Energy, another Psychic Energy, and a third Psychic Energy. So just nuking the energy out of their deck, trying to make it so they're not dead drawing later on in the game. Trying to make absolutely certain they have success here. You're going to see another refinement, discarding Rocket's Admin. Kind of a bold choice. We do see the Psychic Arcana come into play. Or discarding Buddy Buddy Poffin. Interesting choice here. They need to get some energy in play, but they don't seem to have a way to get the Gardevoir EX out, which is kind of unfortunate. They have a lot of options in terms of search, but nothing that actually gets them what they want. Yeah, so they're just going to pass back over to Miraidon here. Miraidon player going to manually attach to Iron Hands. A couple more turns of this, and you'll be able to actually retreat. Gardevoir player once again going straight for some more options here. I saw... Not sure. Oh, that was a Mysterious Treasure. Mysterious Treasure discarding Buddy Buddy Poffin to get the Psychic Recharge Gardevoir out. They must have top decked that treasure there. So here we have a refinement. This hand is huge. This is the point where, as your opponent, you really want the card Hue to just thrash your opponent's hand. Wondrous Labyrinth, Prism Star. Oh man, that's going to be devastating. Okay, so we see a Mysterious Treasure discarding. Look, it looks like another Mysterious Treasure to find nothing. They are choosing not to get a card off of that. We see a Rare Candy going into Gardevoir here, the Gardevoir EX with Psychic Embrace. So we're going to be seeing some energy fly onto the field here. If they have a surprise time machine, they can maybe turn that that EX into the energy doubling one here too, after they've attached all the energy. We're going to see a Versus Seeker, it looks like. Versus Seeker going in for Mallow. For Guzma. Choosing to Guzma up the Miraidon. Take out the one powered up Pokemon here. So you're going to attach... Oh, and retreat. Okay, they're retreating out of the Azelf into the Gardevoir, attaching some energy to that Gardevoir. So they're going to knock out Miraidon, which is their only option for attacking right now. And I have to think that they're probably also going to be playing down that Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star to make it even more difficult for them to actually attack. There it is. There's a Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. So not only is Miraidon being knocked out, it's going to be even harder for the opponent here to do anything to the Gardevoir player because of Wondrous Labyrinth. Wondrous Labyrinth is going to increase their attack cost by a colorless energy. This is going to increase the attack cost of all non-fairy type Pokemon, and currently neither player has any fairy type Pokemon in play. You see when Heavy Ball going through those prize cards. Looks like they found a Miraidon. Yep, found a Miraidon. So they're going to play down that Miraidon and have it for later. No, not playing it down after all. Gonna keep it in the hand for the moment. So it's possible for... Oh, so there is a Stadium card there. So they do have the Thunder Mountain still in deck. It's not prized, but they have not hit it with something they could actually use to get it out of the deck. They're not drawing into it. They're not able to get it with Trainer's Mail at the moment. They have not yet discovered their Thunder Mountain Prism Star. Gardevoir player, once again, digging through their discard pile, looking for some options here. They have to be fairly excited that they're seeing some good success in this game so far with their stall strategy. We do see the Mantine go down. That power circulation is going to put a Lightning Energy card on the top of the deck to make sure that Max Elixirs and Electric Generator are able to hit at least one energy. It also helps you recover some energy. So we see an attachment on the Iron Hands. Iron Hands now has 3 of the 5 energy currently needed for an attack here. 4th energy, this would normally be enough for an attack and for a knockout for 2 prize cards, but unfortunately Wondrous Labyrinth. Okay, so they chose not to use Ampy very much. They just went with an Arm Thrust. Took me a second to figure out what had happened there, but that is just an Arm Thrust. Only 1 prize card. That is a very unfortunate knockout, but it is a knockout. And, I mean, it is what it is. And the Ampy very much would just be better, but when you don't have the option and you need to take prize cards, you take the prize cards. Interestingly enough, the Gardevoir player getting down another Ralts via the Rescue Stretcher and Pokemon Communication combo here. All right, we see a tough decision here. Going to Refinement away the Faba. Faba apparently not really that important in this matchup. Miraidon just not having enough cards out to really do what it wants to do. It looks like the gusting up of that Iron Hands was very successful early on. At this point, we just need to see a knockout on this Iron Hands because one more energy attachment on that Iron Hands EX, which should not be very difficult to do, especially with that Mantine, is going to be extremely devastating with that Ampy very much. So we do see the Gardevoir. A new Gardevoir is now in play. This is once again a Shining Arcana Gardevoir. We see a Psychic Embrace for 6 energy. And that's it. That's a KO. That Iron Hands is going down for another 2 prize cards. Whew. The Miraidon player at this point, it's going to be very, very hard to recover. They are 3 prize cards behind, but an Iono may save them. Iono going to, of course, put the cards from both players' hands on the bottom of their deck, and they'll draw cards until they have the same number of cards as prize cards that they have remaining. So a decent amount of damage on that active Gardevoir there, with the Psychic Embrace is, of course, doing 20 damage for each energy attachment. So most of that damage there is from Psychic Embrace, not from Squawkabilly or anything else on the side of the Miraidon player. Miraidon player weighing their options, trying to figure out what exactly they have in terms of a response in their deck. Gonna go back and forth, grabbing a Raichu. Perhaps going after that Gardevoir EX with Raichu would be the choice here, getting a couple of prize cards, or even better yet, going after that Espeon Deoxys for 3 prize cards and kind of close the gap a little bit. Getting 3 prize cards off of Espeon Deoxys would be a decent choice. Although if that Raichu goes down, that is game over, and Raichu is not exactly a bulky Pokemon. So the Max Elixir does appear to hit here. Energy attachment is going to go on the Miraidon, though, not on the Raichu. Gonna see a shuffle up. At this point, Miraidon is still 2 energy short of being able to attack. So we see an attachment from hand to the Mantine. And I think that was an attack off the Mantine. Oh no, they can't. The Mantine can't attack. I think that was the plan, but the Mantine can't attack. It doesn't have enough energy. It needs 2 to do any damage. They were hoping to take a knockout with the Mantine, but the option was not actually there because of Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star being a complete menace. See a Refinement once again with Buddy Buddy Poffin. Shining Arcana, finding a couple of cards. I saw a Prime Catcher off the top with that Shining Arcana. That may well be game over. We see an attachment to the Azelf. Prime Catcher going to gust up Squawkabilly, retreating out the Azelf and knocking out the Squawkabilly for game. Gardevoir EX has taken it with Brainwave, the Shining Arcana Gardevoir, putting in a lot of work in that game. And that early Guzma play from the Gardevoir, absolutely devastating, completely annihilating any real choice that Miraidon player had. If there are ways for you to disrupt your opponent's gameplay and their strategy, you gotta roll with them. And in this case, the Guzma-ing up of that Iron Hands EX early on just made it so they couldn't power it up. They couldn't do what they wanted. They just couldn't do any of their things. And the fact that they were having difficulty drawing into what they wanted on top of that just made for a 1-2 punch that really ended that game fairly early on. Well, that's going to be it for today's game. I hope you all enjoyed it. This is a wild one. This one actually went almost all the way to time, which is not actually that common, I find, with decks like this. But you know what? I'll take it. Some of the best games go to time. If you happen to find yourself in the San Antonio area on April 6th, you can join us at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch for the next in real life Eternal Format tournament. Registration and deck validation begin at 11 a.m. with round 1 scheduled to start at approximately noon. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.